You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. He's Tom Vanderford. Every Saturday morning, you can understand and see Tom Vanderford that in all of his glory, essentially. So, Tommy, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. Wonderful as always.
This is the end of the week. This is my last interview of the weekend. The next video I make is Monday's show. So I'm going to sit back, relax, and do all that. Tomorrow I'm getting a new air conditioner in. We got all sorts of plans set up for the next couple of days.
In Florida.
Yes, and the funny thing is, since we're getting our air conditioner changed out, we got the thermostat set on to about 65 degrees right now.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna do it. If we blow the thing up tonight, we blow the thing up tonight because tomorrow it gets fixed.
Exactly.
So interesting situation. The transfer portal, as you know, it gets hot, it gets cold, it gets hot, it gets cold. Well, we're going through a little bit of an information phase of the transfer portal at the moment. Chris Hardy, the defensive lineman out of Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks, is slated to visit Ole Miss. I think Pete Thamel actually broke that transfer visit story, which makes me think that this is further along than anybody knows, but he's a really good player. And it makes me wonder, honestly, if this means that Ole Miss is kind of cutting bait in regards to Tyler Barrett.
I think that's possible. We've all heard some things about the situation with Tyler. Mm-hmm. This kid, I looked at his stats. I think he had like 8.5 sacks last year. So, he's a thick kid. He'll plug and play perfect in our defense. So I'm really, really thinking that this, like you said, is a done deal.
Yes, and Chris Hardy, if you look at the stat thing on there, he had 61 tackles a year ago, which is a lot of tackles for a defensive lineman.
Yeah, sure.
16 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, only 4 quarterback hurries, which tells me he got home more than he didn't, Tom.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I hate to beat a dead horse, but it's just like we said. Nothing is a setback for Lane Kiffin and this staff. If they have issues, if they think somebody grades out better than somebody else, they'll make the switch.
Yeah, and this is a situation. Look at Tyler. I think that player and Tyler Barron had the same number of sacks against SEC teams a year ago, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So also randomly, the linebacker Khalil Jacobs visited Ole Miss over the course of this past week. He went to Missouri, I think, on Friday. He's at Alabama on Saturday, and I'm assuming by the end of the weekend we might hear something. Now, there might be some other bidders that pop up, but Khalil Jacobs posted pictures of him on Instagram of him having a good time on his official visit, which, newsflash, players have a good time on their official visit.
Especially at Ole Miss.
Yeah, apparently he did. And also, they're not done with the transfer portal at all. It looks like Star Thomas, the running back from New Mexico State, he averaged about 6 yards per carry. He's 6 foot, 225. He's a true thumper. We've talked about thumpers over the course of the last couple of weeks on this show. He is a true thumper. He is the guy that I heard about multiple weeks ago before this came out, and we talked about him. This is a situation, honestly, I think if he shows up on campus for a visit, that means his transcript is good to go and everything is ready to go. If he shows up on campus for a visit, I think Ole Miss gets him.
I hope so. He did really good against Auburn. Against SEC competition. I think he'll be what we need. We need a big thumping running back.
And Lane Kiffin is obviously trying to get players in the transfer portal for a potential 16-game season. That's the reason he's getting extra running backs in all these extra positions is for 16 games.
Yeah, with Lane Kiffin, there's always a contingency. He's always thinking ahead, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's stacking the deck.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. When we come back, Tom Vanderford is going to give me his top 5 Egg Bowl moments. Stick around for that. Gametime, though, is an official authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices go on the Gametime app, and they actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. They have the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Their customer service department is top shelf in the ticket industry. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Also, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 in bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down all the volume with all of that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24-hour, 7-day-a-week sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Okay, Tommy, you're going to go on the hot seat, and we are going to get your top 5 of Ole Miss Egg Bowl moments. The way this works for everybody that's tuning in, my guest, I count them down from 5 until 1. Mine, I go from 1 until 5, but everybody else is 5 until 1, and it's a true countdown. So let's start it out. Number 5 moment in Egg Bowl history.
Number 5 moment in Egg Bowl history. Well, I thought about this, and it's a loss. It's a loss. When Elijah Moore had his little annex in the end zone, it was a bad day for us, but it brought us Lane Kiffin. So number 5 is that loss.
Yeah, that was my number 2, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Number 4.
Pardon?
Number 4.
Yeah, number 4. Number 4 is the 31-0 Eli Manning Egg Bowl at Starkville his senior year, and that's simply because I had a press pass and I was jacklegging on the sidelines taking pictures. So, I got to go to the last press conference. So that's more of of Jackie Sherrill. That was more of and everybody out there will be glad to know I was at that last press conference with an Ole Miss jersey, an Ole Miss jacket, and an Ole Miss hat. So
that's hilarious. That's awesome.
Bulldog Club in the Leo Seal Bulldog Club. So that's number 4.
Number 3.
Number 3 is the catch. Corey Peterson. As Stuart Patridge's Corey Peterson, that Egg Bowl, my wife can tell you I got ticked off and turned it off because I thought there was no way, and we won. So that was close. So that's number 3.
Yeah. What did you learn?
Huh?
What did you learn?
What did I learn? I learned that I need to watch it till they do what I learned. I was just, I don't know. I think I was stressed out at work or something. And I just, I had a short fuse that day. But number 2.
Number 2.
The game to find out who went to the Sugar Bowl when Dak Prescott soiled his britches. That was one of the best dominating defenses I had ever seen. So that's 2A. I'm cheating. 2B is when we beat State with their best team ever, with a quarterback with a bum shoulder and a bum ankle and a tight end. And some really good defense. But that's
and a Jordan Wilkins halfback pass.
Exactly. We whooped that booty. Number one for me has to be I think it was 1983.
The immaculate deflection.
The kick, the immaculate deflection. Dude, that was
Yeah, that's one of the things. I was legitimately there. I peaked when I was 7 years old. That was the height of my sports fandom.
That was if people don't believe God's a rebel, there's your proof.
So honorable mentions, the games that you did not mention in your top 5. The 2008 game, the 45-0, did not get mentioned.
Yep.
The 1981 John Forcade final drive did not get mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's see. The stand did not get mentioned.
That's true.
And Romero Miller to Eli Manning, or not Romero Miller, Deuce McAllister to Romero Miller. Sorry about that, Romero.
That game, that was awesome.
That did not get mentioned.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments that we have, those called games that we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Lots of those memories. There, Feed Moncrief did not get mentioned.
Yeah, and that was right on the cusp. You know, Feed Moncrief and our defense stopping Dak Prescott. You know, when their offense was doing the choo-choo train thing. Yeah, that was good too. But it's hard to narrow it down just to 5.
Right. I mean, especially when you get up there like we are. I mean, I'm sure Gen Z can narrow it down to 5, but whenever you have enough to talk about, it's like I have no memory of the 70s to talk about. Nothing of Ken Cooper or anything like that. So what's that?
I said that's a good thing.
Yeah, I had the 80s. I did own the 80s, and the only thing we had in the 80s was Billy Brewer owning the Bulldogs.
Yep.
And 83, by the way, and I like to say this all the time, is everybody remembers the wind-blown back kick. They do not remember Kelly Powell scoring on a completely fluke touchdown off of a fumble. They do not remember Timmy Moffitt returning a punt back on a punt block where we tried to rush 10 and it got there. We didn't block a single state player. Timmy Moffitt ran it back for a touchdown. Those facts get forgotten about because of what happened on that kick.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just like Corey Peterson's catch. That's all I remember. But there were other key moments, you know, in that game. But
yeah, Andre Roan caught both of the touchdown passes.
Exactly. Exactly.
So really interesting stuff. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Tom Vanderford, thank you so much for joining us, as you always do every Saturday morning. I got to figure out what next week's top 5 is going to be. I think top 5 running backs in Ole Miss history might be it, just because the list there is going to be absolutely nuts.
Oh, yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it should be good. It's like people are going to be mad that K.O. Dottonley got left off, and they're like, who is Corey Philpott? Where's Randy Baldwin? Deuce McAllister, number 1, over Quinshon. I think that one has a chance to be pretty fun.
It does. It does.
All right, Tom, thank you, and have a good weekend, buddy.
You too, buddy, and hotty toddy, everybody.
Hotty toddy.